Multi-Soft, which is a company providing software solutions within Pakistan and some international clients. Basically, currently we are having one of the project Easy App, and that is a very great project and creating a robust mobile application for the freelancers who have multiple kind of skills, and they can share their skills and give their services on the app. Basically, I am a certified multi-cloud engineer, as Gavaskar told you, that I have few of Alibaba certifications and two of the AWS certification of associate level. Planning to have professional one because besides your job, you have to upgrade yourself so that you can keep up the pace with the advanced technology. Gauska, I think I cannot share the screen in the full mode. Is this visible for all of you, or should I
Yeah,
try
it is
to?
visible. It's visible. Yeah, it is visible.
Stop it.
Yeah, you can make it a presentation mode.
Yeah, I can. I am clicking on the presentation mode, but I think I'm unable to make it. Okay, now it's done. Okay, thank you so much. Okay,
Yeah. Now
serverless.
it's okay.
Serverless is my domain, and I love to work in serverless because in serverless field you can learn a lot of the services about any vendor of cloud, and you have to. It's just like a jigsaw puzzle, and where you fit in the services, and you see that what goes well with your customers' requirement, what goes well with your budget. So serverless is the field like okay, it's a bit new, especially in Pakistan, but there are very few serverless developers in Pakistan, and they are currently working very hard to have the good knowledge in that, and that's why I joined AWS community and several other communities so that we can learn with from each other and we can try to have a good spread of knowledge. Okay, moving on to multi-cloud. Let me see what's the problem. Okay, moving on to today's agenda is okay, we will be discussing why multi-cloud, what is the multi-cloud, and what is the importance of the multi-cloud. Because nowadays, every organization is going towards multi-cloud. They are not keeping their architecture on one cloud vendor. And there are a few reasons behind that. We will be discussing in that. And after that, we will be seeing a multi-cloud versus poly-cloud because these are the terms where most of the people use them interchangeably. But I think there's a sharp difference and we have to see okay what exactly the multi-cloud and poly-cloud is. After that we will be discussing some benefits and challenges, and then I will open the floor for you guys to have some questions. If I have the knowledge according to my knowledge, I will share whatever I have learned during the hands-on session and during my experience, and if I'm not, then I will be okay going back to it and have some research and then give you some answers. So basically, why multi-cloud? Why organizations and why advanced world need multi-cloud architectures? So this is the idiom I think all of you have heard that put your all eggs in one basket. This is equivalent to okay, risking yourself as if you are putting all your eggs in one basket or your all resources in one thing. Like if your mission critical workload is deployed on one architecture or one cloud vendor, if that vendor or that site goes down, all of your architecture and all of your customers will be suffering from that. So basically, this idiom is showing okay, not to risk all your resources in one thing. If that goes down or that fails, then all of your then everything will fail. And these are some clips. So I have tried to get some new clips, but these are some news clips that everything is designed or everything fails all the time. As the CTO of AWS, Werner Vogel says that you cannot build anything. It is not possible to build anything like that should not fail. Everything is failing all the time. So you have to be prepared for this. If the thing fails or if your workload is failed, if your architecture goes down, then you must have a backup plan for that. So basically, this is the reason why everything or why every organization is going towards multi-cloud. You can see like, okay, Google Cloud also facing different outages at different times. And this is not even possible like, okay, one cloud strategy or one cloud region or availability zone is available all the time. It is possible like, okay, due to change in different director, maybe your configuration is wrong, or maybe your network protocols goes down. So it will halt your services badly. So you can see like, okay, these are some of the renowned businesses. I think you all aware of Airbnb, Twilio, and Netflix. These are the services given by AWS, or they has deployed their services on Google Cloud, and the combination of these cloud services. But similarly, time to time, many of the cloud vendors when go down, like Microsoft, Alibaba, and Huawei, these cloud technologies or these SaaS services also feel like downtime, and their customers are irritated by them. So basically, now we are moving toward what basically is multi-cloud. Multi-cloud is referring, or multi-cloud is when an organization uses cloud computing services from at least two cloud providers to run their application on the cloud. Okay, this is not like, okay, you are simply deploying your whole architecture on one cloud service. For example, I'll give you example. If my workload of Easy App is deployed on North Virginia in AWS, okay, but if that availability zone goes down, what my client is going to do? They are not able to do their services. They're not able to have their transactions on the cloud. So basically, what I'm going to do, I will deploy my architecture from one zone in US North region, and another backup, so that they, if the customer is feeling downtime, they should the traffic would be redirected to the Frankfurt region or any other region where I have deployed my backup architecture. Okay, moving on, we can see that there is a very thin line between multi-cloud and poly-cloud. Multi-cloud is about using multiple cloud providers in a cloud agnostic manner. Like you have deployed your cloud architecture in more than two cloud. Okay, I have some capabilities or some services using AWS infrastructure, and at the same time, I have backup architecture on Google Cloud, maybe in Europe region, so that if the US region goes down, I can redirect my customers or redirect my traffic to the Frankfurt region. And polycloud is like, okay, using the specialized capability of multiple cloud providers. Like in Easy App, what we did, we have the vast requirement of map, and we want to use a customized APIs of map. So we learned both side by side AWS and Google products. But the services of maps provided by AWS was not that efficient and optimized, so that we have collected some features of Google Map APIs and integrated with our AWS architecture, so that our customers should have the pre-built knowledge of the maps of Google Maps, and they can use our apps easily in the Easy App or Easy App. So there is a very thin line difference between multi-cloud and poly-cloud, and these are the not terms for the one thing. I guess you are getting my point. Like, okay, multi-cloud status is the generic nature of the cloud capabilities, whereas poly-cloud status is the specialization of the cloud providers. You can pick up the services. Okay, map is good from Google Cloud. Okay, we can integrate it with our AWS architecture, so that the customer would have the seamless integration and seamless experience of the app. Let's describe it from the diagram. I think monocloud, hybrid, and distributed cloud are the terms which are out of the scope or agenda of this presentation. But you can see that, like in multi-cloud, we have same deployment on AWS or one vendor, and similar deployment on another vendor. So that if one vendor goes down, even the one region of the vendor goes down, we cannot disturb our customers, or our customers should not face any problem by having we will just switch our traffic to the other cloud vendor, so that it can easily and have the seamless experience of the app. Whereas in the poly cloud, you have to deploy and you have to pick the good services of one vendor and good services of the another vendor, and integrate both of them, so that you can have the optimized solution according to the requirement of the customer, according to the requirement of your project. I have provided the link in the description, so that you can have the brief knowledge of these images, because these are very well defined in that article. And I took the article and I attributed that article. Now, moving on, there are some benefits and challenges by having multi-cloud. Because if you can see overall image of the multi-cloud, we can see, okay, if I have two deployments in different vendors, I might have the cost issues, I might have the security issues, I might have some other issues, that management issues kind of thing. So that because these are the issues I have to face when I am deploying my architecture on different clouds. But there are some benefit as well with that. Like you can reduce the latency. If I have customers in different areas of the world, I can deploy my architecture on different areas of the world or different architectures, so that the customers near to that availability zone can easily access the data and in the reduced latency form. And the reliability of my application also increases when I deploy my architecture on multiple cloud sites. Okay. Another benefit of using multi-cloud is reduce vendor lock-in. What does this mean? Okay, if I have built my architecture in a way that it is only feasible with AWS architecture, whenever, if by some reason, some good reason, I'm not able to continue with AWS or with any other vendor, I have to migrate my whole architecture or workload. So what is the loss in that side? Because I have to start scratching the work, because I am totally dependent on one vendor. So every time when we build a solution, we design our architectures in cloud neutral way. Whenever we have to migrate, we should have enough room to migrate from one vendor to another vendor. So basically, multi-cloud reduces the vendor lock-in problem. Okay, there is another benefit, that is potential cost saving. There might be some services in AWS which are costly than Google Cloud, or maybe there are cheaper in Alibaba Cloud. So whenever a company or an organization is planning their architecture, they are going for the potential cost saving strategy, so that they can have a multiple and then maximum benefit or cost saving across the cloud vendors. Okay, beside this, these benefits, these are the roughly few of the benefits, but I can also discuss a few things in the end of the slides, so that you can thoroughly get the idea, okay, why multi-cloud is important and why is multi-cloud future for all the organization in coming days. Because there are some challenges also with the multi-cloud, but we have to see the benefit, because if the customer workload and the mission critical workloads are not available to your customers, so there is no use of having like investing a lot of money in public cloud sector. So moving on to the challenges, complexity of management is a big thing, because if you are deploying your workload, similar workload on different vendors, you have to manage and you have to monitor it all the time. And you have to have a good dashboard, a detailed dashboard where you can see, okay, these are the logs and these are the things arising from one cloud. Okay, I have to move, or maybe I have to set up the global DNS, so that if there is some problem, this problem should not halt my services, and it automatically route the services or traffic to the other cloud deployment or other architecture or other vendor. So complexity of management increases with when you are having the multi-cloud architecture. Okay, now you can see easily from this diagram. Previously, when when people start building their environments or architecture, they have their own private data centers where they're deployed and they have the ability to secure it. Okay, as you move on vertically or horizontally, you can see like maturity increases horizontally, but as you move on to the multi-cloud side or distributed cloud, the complexity also increases, because once you have your data center, you are responsible for its security and you have all management by yourself. But as you're going to the public cloud side and deploy to the polycloud or multi-cloud, you can see like, okay, we have to manage multiple vendors at the same time, or maybe multiple service of different vendors at the same time. And this also causes confusion and maybe lacking the understanding of the teams. This is also a good example. Okay, we are deploying are having our backup on different cloud architecture, but at the same time we are having different people, or maybe having a different resources to manage cloud architectures on different vendors. Okay, beside this is also increased latency. In sometimes, okay, when we are deploying our architecture on different geographical regions, maybe it could be the case, okay, these customers are near to one architecture, but maybe the organization cannot afford a lot of, and there might be a lot of, uh, there might be a lot of cost included that. Uh, You can also see you cannot neglect the cost perspective, and you have to see while planning the architecture, you have to see all the things. Maybe you can trade off multiple deployments, or maybe you can trade off the cost of the architectures. So this is the another challenge. And greater attack services. Security is the biggest challenge in nowadays, because cybersecurity is a thing many organization is very concerned about that. But if you are in multi-cloud side and you have deployed your architecture in different cloud vendors, you have to be very careful and you have to be very vigilant in giving permission to cloud side. Performance and reliability is also a challenge, because when your system could be a reliable one because you have deployments on different side of the multi-cloud, but at the same time, when you are seeing the performance, maybe it could be dependent on geographic region, and there could be latency, but there could be a possibility like their performance should be increased. Okay, if I'm in Pakistan and Dubai region is close to my customer and my deployment is in Dubai, it would be easy for me. But if Dubai region goes down, my traffic will be directed to US North Virginia region, and that will cause us some latency. Okay, now moving to the tools for multi-cloud, where I have used one very great tool, that is Nutanix. Nutanix is a centralized kind of dashboard, or is a SaaS product where you can find and you can manage your multi-cloud deployment very easily. There is a lot of tool where you can do CI/CD, and you can orchestrate your monitoring process, and you can easily there's a one dashboard where you can easily route your traffic, and easily can control your traffic where you want to route the traffic. These are some other tools like IBM Multi-Cloud Manager, OpenStack, Scalar, and Cloudify, but I personally use Nutanix. There's a very good platform, and I highly recommend Nutanix. I think I am done, and I think I am before time. I think I now open floor for the question answer. And if anybody have some questions, then you can ask. Hello.
So participants, you can unmute yourself and you can ask any questions related to multi-cloud.
Thanks, Aisha, for the nice session actually. So you told about the Nutanix, am I right? So if you use Nutanix, we can integrate the multi-cloud. Is it like we can integrate with AWS as well as with Azure or Alibaba? Correct? Like that is that you want to say? Actually?
Yeah, I have used Nutanix with Google Cloud and AWS. You just have to provide your like you have to link up your accounts with the Nutanix, and then there are some matrices you can easily see on their dashboard. So there is a very good platform, and there is a very good. I must have included the screenshot, but I'm sorry I don't have right now. But this dashboard give you a very detailed form. Okay, where the logs are pointing towards any error, or where there is some downtime, you can easily see on the logs, and there are very detailed reports when you click on any log. So Nutanix is the platform, or is a SaaS product where you can just link up your accounts, AWS, Google, or any account, and you can easily get your whatever you are going to permit, because you have to make some IAM permissions in your account as well, AWS or any cloud vendor, so that they can collect the logs, and they can there you can see and monitor it.
But Scalar and all, I heard about this actually. But this is Scalar is also a multi-cloud tool, is it?
Scala is also a multi-cloud tool, but I just have used Nutanix, and that's I have the idea of Nutanix. But these are also a centralized platform, yeah, where you can monitor your multi-cloud architectures.
Right. So centralized dashboard, it will say from AWS this many resources are deployed, or from Azure or Alibaba this many resources are deployed, or this many jobs are instances are running, something like that. Correct.
Yeah, and you can also have a basic health check over there. If the server or if any instance is not working or performing well, you can see an alarm on those dashboard as well.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for the
Participants, if you have any questions, just you can ask. So Sashta, one question. When we are going for pricing, what kind of pricing will be available in Nutanix?
Okay, we have the basic pricing architecture. I'm not very detailed. I don't have detailed answer on this question, but I will get back to you on this after the session over the LinkedIn or might be
Okay,
some other
thank you.
channel. But there are some basic principles you have, like, okay, what kind of deployments architecture in your different vendor clouds and how much monitoring you want by Nutanix. Uh, Basically, I will give the detailed answer after the session because I have to research on because we have the basic account and we are using that with AWS and Google Cloud.
Okay. Uh,
Mhm.
okay, participants, any doubts?
But cost, as far as the cost of the multi-cloud deployment is concerned, you have to see the cloud of the cost of the cloud vendor because if you have one architecture in AWS and one in Google
Yes.
Cloud, you have to compare them individually. Like maybe API gateway costing with egress or ingress is something else, might be X amount, and in Google Cloud, this cost will be different. So this is totally dependent on the cloud vendors. But if you are using Nutanix just for the monitoring purpose on these two vendors, so that will be an additional cost to that pricing. I
Okay.
think if you're asking about this perspective of the Nutanix.
So
Meaning?
yeah,
Ma'am,
participants, you can ask.
what's the meaning of vendor lock-in? Can you tell once again?
Okay,
Yeah.
vendor
Can you
lock-in.
repeat? Yeah, you can repeat the vendor lock-in again.
Yeah, I can definitely repeat the vendor lock-in. Vendor lock-in is a basically like I have planned my architecture just keeping in mind AWS architecture, right? And AWS services. I just when I'm planning any architecture for any customer, I'm looking after, okay, these are the services provided by one vendor, these are the services provided by another vendor. I just use those services which are cost optimized and according to the customer requirements. But when you are going to multi-cloud, you have to have an active active sites where if one site goes down, you can easily direct your traffic to another customer cloud vendor. But when you are designing to the vendor lock-in site, vendor lock-in is basically like, okay, I am designing my whole architecture keeping in mind AWS services. If for some reason AWS is not suitable for me or for my organization, now I want to migrate to other cloud vendor, I have to build up the architecture from scratch, from zero. Like, okay, I have to use API gateway and then S3 bucket and then Lambda function and then DynamoDB. When I have to move this architecture to Alibaba Cloud or any other cloud, then I am hardly restricted to one AWS services. So vendor lock-in is reduced by multi-cloud deployment just because you are making your you are like planning your architecture in a way that if you are moving or migrating to another cloud services, this migration should be seamless. They should not be, okay, starting from the scratch or zero. This should be very optimized way. Okay, like you can build your architecture on open source services, for example, containers. You just have to take the container code or container from AWS to the Alibaba cloud, and you're good to go. You don't have to write all the code from scratch and make the architecture from zero. So this is the thing. Okay, this is the thing reduced by multi-cloud deployment. You are planning the architecture by keeping, okay, if I'm building my architecture on Kubernetes or containers, so it will be very easy for me if Alibaba is not my cloud and if I'm not willing to use it anymore, then I can easily deploy this container to any other vendor and I'm good to go. My customer will not be facing any downtime or anything.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
this will answer your question.
Yeah, participants, any more questions?
By the way, when we are looking for multi-cloud, there are few things we have to keep in mind, like redundancy and availability, geographic considerations and latency, cost and feature options. Like, okay, services are good in one cloud and few features are good in few services are good in another cloud. we have to pick up those and make an architecture that is well integrated and well secured and avoid vendor lock-in. So vendor lock-in is basically the hardest thing when you are building architectures, because as you can see in cloud adoption model, previously all of the organization have their own data centers and they don't need to have consider about okay public cloud. So we have API in cloud, Google Cloud and API gateway in AWS. How can we deploy it? We have our own data center. We are making our own APIs, and that was very easy for ourselves. But as we are moving on to multi-cloud or distributed cloud, the complexity and these lock-ins are increasing. So this is very good option. Okay, you have to deploy one thing in one cloud, and there should be a cloud neutral type of thing, solutions, so that you can deploy it anywhere. Or if the system goes down, you can automatically make it available on other vendor. There should not be an easy. There should not be a problem.
Okay. Participants, any more questions?
Thanks for the session. No question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So, so we can wind up the session. And on behalf of Multicloud for you, we'd like to thank Shasta Aman Khan for giving an eye-opener session on Multicloud, how to start your journey with Multicloud. We can use, she has explained what are the challenges, what are the benefits of moving to Multicloud. And he told few of the Multicloud tools which we can use for starting our journey with Multicloud. On behalf of Multicloud for you, we'd like to thank Shasta Amankan for giving a valuable session on so how to deal with Multicloud. And as a part of our community, we are going to provide a level 1 certificate for all the participants. And we will share the speaker code and the procedure to download the certificate to your respective mail ID. Thank you.
Thanks, Einstein, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you for
day.
your time. Thank you.